Ani, bonjour. My name is Pamela Perreault, and I am very happy to join the Firelight Group as a new director and co-lead of the Ecology Team. I'll also be supporting the development of Indigenous planning and all the other wonderful and exciting work that we do in traditional youth studies and IBAs. So it's been my privilege and honor to join the team, and I look forward to working with Firelight and communities in the future. So a little bit about myself. I'm a member of Garden River First Nation in Ontario, which is just outside Sault Ste. Marie. My mom is from Batchewana First Nation, a neighboring community. I'm a mom, first and foremost, of a 6-year-old boy, happily married. And I live in 2 places. So I'm very privileged to say that I live on the west coast of British Columbia on Vancouver Island. And I also spend plenty of time back in Garden River First Nation, where I work with my community and other northern communities in the area of forestry. So from a community level, I would say that my project that I'm the most proud of is the one that I worked on with my own community in Garden River First Nation, and we were mapping wildlife corridors. And it was the first time that I was able to really put forward a community perspective on a very scientifically defined project. From a higher level regional or national perspective, my favorite project would have to be the development and implementation of forest management standards with respect to the right to free, prior, and informed consent for Indigenous peoples. So I worked with FSC Canada and FSC International, and it was a 6-year project that I was able to fulfill what I would call seemingly impossible objectives of bringing together people with very different points of view, different values, and different perspectives, and keeping them on track on the sole objective of respecting Indigenous rights in forest management. Influences in my life would have to be my parents, first of all, and some very important mentors that came from my academic life, but also from communities that I have worked in. So from my parents, first of all, is a work ethic that perseverance, patience, getting up every day and starting a new day, helps deal with some problems that may have arisen. Also to being grounded in values that are born in a community but practiced at the family level, I think is really important. And my family was always there, regardless of where I was in the world, whether I was on the west coast of Canada or on the west coast of Australia, always reminding me where I came from and where I will eventually return to. From my mentors in academia and communities, I think the greatest lesson and reminder that I get is that knowledge comes in many forms, and it's held by many different people and animals. Patience, perseverance are virtues that are so important as well to cultivate in community-based research. But also, I think finally, my mentors have taught me that leadership is demonstrated. We can't just talk about it. We have to demonstrate to others what it means to be a leader. Respect is earned and not demanded. And also to the very important characteristic, I guess, of leadership and a value that I hold very dear to me would be humility, and being able to exercise humility, because it keeps the mind and the heart open to new ideas. So being a leader is not being closed off but being actually open to others sharing their ideas. I think when I think about what communities are up against, and in my own experience of being part of a leadership group in a community, so I was a member of the chief and council in my own community, I think what I'm able to add or help with the most is helping communities step outside of a siloed, I call it a siloed governance model. So after what seems now to be generations of governments and even other organizations and private sector treating one project, one person, one department, communities from a governance perspective and how they make decisions are trapped in this model of very much mimicking or addressing projects and problems according to the government structures, the federal, in particular, federal and provincial government structures. And I think from my experience working in different places in the world and working with communities in different contexts, treaty, non-treaty, working with communities who are litigating around title and rights, I think I'm able to support communities to really prioritize their own way of addressing environmental concerns or community concerns. And if that includes bringing together a bunch of different ways of thinking, a different departments working together that maybe haven't worked together before, I think that's where my strength is doing things differently. And also too, most importantly, prioritizing that the community way of doing it is important. The community way of addressing problems and creating solutions is a priority, and putting that front and center. That's what I would like to do, and where I see my supporting communities would land. It's almost an emotional, it's an emotional response that I have to it, because I think one of the distinguishing aspects of Firelight is, while we are a consulting firm, we are at the beck and call of communities. We are doing the work that the community wants us to do. Not what government, not what private sector, but the parameters of the projects are defined by the community. And you're only as good as your last project with that community. So I think the strength of relationships and the commitment of Firelight to sticking to the needs and the concerns of community is such a high priority in my own life. It just seems to fit really well, and it's pretty exciting to be part of that kind of organization.